Good afternoon, Virtual Office Hours viewers. This is John Fia here, and Megan Piette behind the camera, our producer. Again, this is the Virtual Office Hours, episode 17 in our History of American Evangelical series. This is also the last episode in our fall 2014 History of American Evangelical series, Evangelicalism series. So if you stuck it out for 17 weeks, we really appreciate you watching. Hope you've been able to learn something about evangelicalism. We are here in exam week. You see the mess here on my desk. I don't know if they can see that. You know, these blue books everywhere. We're wrapping things up here. We'll be back in January with a whole new series. We'll reveal that when the time comes. But it's been a good 15, 16, 17 episodes this fall. So we wrapped up the course last week. The students have their exam on tomorrow. Actually, we're filming this on a Tuesday. The exam is on a Wednesday, where they'll be asked to define certain terms and write a large essay about American evangelicalism. I can't tell you what that essay is because Megan is actually in the class, and I don't want her to know what it is, so she'll be surprised. So she thought she may have gotten some insight here, but anyway, overall, you know, we'll see how the students' evaluations come out. It was a small class. It was only 4 students and then one more non-traditional student who was auditing the class. So we'll see. It was mostly a reading seminar, almost conducted like a grad school seminar might be conducted. But I thought that I enjoyed teaching the class. It was fun. On the last day of class, I asked the students, we had an interesting debate about the definition of American evangelicalism. We had all kinds of books that we read that tried to define what evangelicalism was. We had been working off of the famous Bevington Quadrilateral, and evangelical is defined by biblicism, activism, crucicentrism, and conversionism. But by the time we got done with George Marsden and then Molly Worthen's book, we had all these other definitions swirling around. We were talking about, you know, is there such a thing as evangelicalism? Is evangelicalism just something defined to the post-World War II neo-evangelicals, who then later dropped the neo? Are there denominations that have certain evangelical traits? So it was a really interesting conversation that maybe the students will wrestle with a little bit on their exams. I went around and asked some of the students in the class, whoever felt comfortable, asked them to talk about the way in which this class helped them better understand their own religious congregations and their own religious roots. So, for example, we had one student in the class who was a sort of, his church and his congregation, the way he was raised, was a direct line from the sort of old Princeton theologians of the late 19th century, Dre Gresham Machen, the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, and he currently attends and grew up, I think, in an evangelical Presbyterian church. Then we had another student who grew up United Methodist, but after the class realized that for most of his life, his pastors had been very kind of evangelical United Methodists, and he didn't even realize that until he took the class, or at least he got a better understanding of it. We had a Catholic student in the class who actually made an argument the other day that Catholics can be evangelicals too if they embrace perhaps the Bevington Quadrilateral. So there wouldn't be evangelical under Worthen's definition because of the lack of authority, right, or the magisterium that they have to answer to. So that was fun. At least I'm hoping the students come away with a sense of, as they drive down the street and they see a mega church or some other kind of church, or they are exposed to different preachers and speakers and religious views, or meet people from different religious communities, they'll have a better sense of not necessarily where to pigeonhole them, but a better sense of how they may relate to the larger evangelical movement. I kind of dropped a bomb on the students at the end of class. There really wasn't enough time to discuss this, but I asked them, you know, is Messiah College, where we're teaching and where we're at right now, where we taught the course, is that an evangelical institution? And that brought up some very interesting conversations as well. Certainly on the biblicism front, if you go with the old quadrilateral, the biblicism front, Messiah certainly has a high view of the Bible, although they would not have a sort of inerrancy view of the Bible, although maybe some professors do. Conversionism, there was some debate over that. Does Messiah teach a kind of born-again experience in some way? On the question of activism, certainly Messiah is a very socially active place from a Christian point of view. At the same time, you don't hear much about evangelism here. So a certain kind of activism, and certainly the cross or crucicentrism is central to the mission of Messiah. So that was an interesting debate. It's hard to really define Messiah with its brethren, or so to say, Anabaptist, Wesleyan, and holiness roots. It's certainly not a Reformed place, Calvinist place, and it's certainly not a kind of self-consciously evangelical place in the way that, say, Wheaton College is an evangelical place. And I think what we concluded was Messiah is a place with certain evangelical traits, but it certainly doesn't stem out of that kind of neo-evangelical movement that came out of the post-war world, the NAE, Christianity Today, Fuller Seminary, Carl Henry, and all of that. But then as we read Worthen's book, there's certainly pieces, whether it be holiness or Wesleyan or Anabaptist, that kind of intersected at different places with the neo-evangelical movement. So a lot of good discussion. I don't think we answered anything, but a lot of good conversation and discussion about that. So again, I think it was a good class. I enjoyed teaching it. I hope the students learned something through it. And we will be back. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we will see you in the new year.